Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Just Get to Work podcast with Deb Kalidas. And I'm Deb Kalidas. Thank you so much for spending time, about the next half hour, to join me as we've got an amazing topic today. Definitely talking about you're doing too much and other lies from what so-called experts will tell you. But hey, before we dive in, I want to thank you because this is podcast episode number 2. So if you survived through number 1 and you're back for more, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for taking time today out of your day. Hopefully maybe you're on the walk, you're listening to this while cooking in the kitchen, or just getting some other work done. So as always, I hope to dig into value and make sure that this time is great for both of us. If you're a first timer, welcome. Smash that subscribe button. Make sure you let me know what I can be doing more of and better. Would love to interact with you. Send an email, drop a note below, and let's get to work. So as a reminder why we're here and why I'm doing what I'm doing in this format is that I truly believe that in just getting to work, it's about digging into all the distractions that keep us from being fully confident, creative, organized, and motivated to grow our businesses or take the leap into the world of being an entrepreneur. I can't tell you how many people I talk to on a week-by-week basis, whether it's a client, if it's a friend at a networking event, that they feel stuck in some way, shape, or form. And they go, Deb, how do you do everything that you do? And I'm like, well, I kind of just flow with it because I've gotten so comfortable to the idea of trying something new and starting something new that it has become natural. But that's what takes the first jump into the pool, right? Do you remember back, or have you ever watched a little kid that's nervous at the side of the pool? They're looking at the water, they see everybody having fun, but they also know that that's a totally different experience, a total different universe. And that's why doing things differently takes practice. And so when I hear you're doing too much, how are you doing this? Because, well, let's face it, my husband and I are a little bit busy. We've got a bunch of businesses. So I have my marketing communications focus point, which boutique firm. We have a farm, Valley Fruits and Veggies, that from, strawberry season to pumpkins, we're very busy doing stuff. My husband has an industrial snow removal business, Keystone Snow Management, and we sell gyros because my husband's Greek. And if you don't sell gyros and you're Greek, well, then that just doesn't happen. So the Gyro Company at Coca-Cola Park here in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. So that's what we got going on. And then my son, Nico, has started a business, Bin Boss. My daughter is looking to graduate college and start something within her public relations. So it kind of runs in our blood. So when people look at us running around like crazy and in and out of our driveway and what's going on with the Kalidas family, it's because we have built this amazing culture in our lives of what we can do and accomplish together. But it's not doing too much because we're focused. It's about not being distracted, but staying on task of what we're seeking to accomplish. So here's the thing. It's not that you can't do too much, because you can, but it's where is your passion and you're focused. Because I do meet with people that, I just joined this, club, and now I'm going to be an expert in this. And then I'm going to do this on the side, and then I'm going to do this and that. And it doesn't have a story that brings it together. There's not a passion or a system that allows something to be replicated time and time again. If you have 10,000 ideas, that's great. Put them up on the wall, get them there, but then you need to start with your top 3. Figure out, what idea am I most excited about? What idea is probably the easiest to get started with the least resistance? And least resistance means, do I not need $10 billion of funding? Do I not need 18 different degrees in something that I don't have a college or university degree in? Do I have something here that is not going to take away from my current job that I can't get rid of yet? My children, other needs, anything that goes on with that. It's a balance of discovering what that first step is. But once you make that first step, that's when things get incredible, because you need to step away from the emotions and the fear and examine the reality of time and needs. So here I am. It's easy for me to say this now because my kids are 21 and 20. They're in college. They're self-sufficient, 95% of the time. And when that 5% hits, it hits. But hey, I'm at this point where I can spend time talking to you. If I was in the trenches of when my kids, Callie and Nico, were 3 and 2, and I had thrown their toys out the window that morning, and I had a beverage of choice on the bathroom vanity upstairs, downstairs when my husband came home, that was a different mindset. I would not be doing what I'm doing now then, because that was what was most important at that moment of time. Now, sometimes doing too much does become part of the strategy of survival. I was raised by a single mom. From about age 6 on, my dad was in and out until it was out, younger brother along the way. And so I had this ultimate example of a woman who focused in her priorities on her children, on her faith, and what was around her that was solid. She had this wonderful phrase that she always said, my children pay the best dividends. So that's where I placed my investment. And certainly there was great financial investment, because that's what kids take. They suck the life out of you in that way. But it was the investment of the love and care and consistency that we had at home that then provided us the opportunity for all that then we took on with life. So you've got to think about, how did you turn out? Reflect on your own upbringing and what really made the difference of the time-space difference versus resources. Because I bet you, no matter where you started, I started again, single-parent household. My grandparents lived downstairs. My mom, my brother, and I lived upstairs. A multi-generational household to get us to where we were. And that was where I really, really learned about doing too much isn't possible when you have the right priorities in play for what needs to have on. So here's my rule for priorities, and this is what's going to be in that worksheet today that you're able to download. So please head to that link below the video and you'll be able to get this for yourself. I have a 3 priority rule. You can only ever have 3 priorities that you focus on, and I want you to find these priorities to be an anchor of your life. It's not something of, in my 20s, they then migrate into my 30s and migrate this. This should be so consequential to your day-to-day existence. And here's the trick. The first priority, absolutely non-negotiable. The second priority is then feeds, it lives off of that first priority. And then the third priority is everything else. So you actually only have 2 priorities, and then everything else is underneath. So for us, and please feel free to take for your own if it fits, faith is our first priority, because that's what anchors us. That's what holds us accountable. That is what brings us, our focus and our joy. Family, because, hey, if we have the priorities and transparency and understanding where each of us are coming from, everything can be accomplished. And then the third is everything else. And you'll hear me reflect that a lot in this podcast, just because it rings true of where we direct ourselves, that if our faith is in place, our family is golden, then everything else can come along from the ride. And as I shared in the first podcast, we declared bankruptcy in 2014. Goodness gracious. If you don't know what your priorities are at your lowest, worst moments, the big moments aren't going to take place. Because I know we're all, if you haven't seen, we have this billionaire in the world right now. He's going on to his second wife. There's the big yacht. There's the fancy of everything. And I look at that and I'm sad for him. And if I ever have a chance to meet him, hey, God bless. I've got lots of questions and want to learn from him, certainly as a businessman. But I wouldn't want my life to reflect just a second marriage and a giant yacht. Instead, I want it to go back to what my priorities are, and that I've been able to keep them in all that's going on. So when you think then about business and how that relates to it, because you're like, Deb, those are personal priorities. Well, I would argue that if your personal priorities don't then impact or directly reflect your business priorities, what's the purpose? Are you actually having fun in what you're doing? So in our businesses, if you have existing businesses, we get excited about products and services, right? How do we at a farm expand ourselves? We do a corn maze, people, and then we do a night maze. And then on top of that, we have a wine your way in the maze. There's no bigger fun than in October to get together with a bunch of 21-plus-year-olds and stick them in a corn maze with some alcohol. That's just what we've done to add products and services. We expand our reach, specifically with our snow removal business. How do we reach out to more property management firms? How do we get more locations that we're servicing? And then we invest in systems to create more. So whether it's my marketing communication business, I then have my team now. I started as a one person, went to a 2 person. Now we're a 4, 5, 6 person when I count everybody in that helps bring this all together. It's because everybody who comes on comes into our system of what we have to replicate and duplicate. So it does not matter if I'm selling widgets. Maybe I'm selling candles. Maybe I'm selling remote controls. Maybe I'm selling a cleaning service. It doesn't matter, because what I'm doing and not investing, oh my gosh, where are you going? You're doing too much, Deb. No, because it's founded in the priorities and in the systems that we enjoy putting together. So what are the systems that you want to create? What do you love doing? Because when you must add more onto what you're doing, if you're staying still in whatever's happening, then that is not progress. And the best thing is when you find an incredible team, put them to work so you can do more, no matter the age. Our farm, we hire 14, 15, 16-year-olds all day long, and that is the most fun of bringing them up in a culture of leadership. Chick-fil-A, if you ask, individuals in the back end of the leadership, they talk about having a leadership company that happens to sell chicken, because it doesn't matter what Chick-fil-A you go to, people, that drive-through is going to be smacking fast, and you're going to get your milkshake exactly the way you want it every single time. So that's where it's fun. Now, if you're not in business yet and you're like, Deb, this is fine and great, but I haven't even got my first foot in the door. I don't have babysitting. I'm overwhelmed by my grocery shopping. I am overwhelmed by the emotional needs of my spouse and things going on. Okay, time out. There is tons of opportunity there. The first thing you need to find is the value of your time and put that into play. If you are drowning in children, and oh goodness, been there, done that. And my 21-year-old and 20-year-old are only 18 months apart. I remember the trenches through and through. What you want to do is go, okay, where is a half hour to an hour of time that I can begin putting in my schedule of, it may cost some aftercare at school. Maybe put something on the Facebook marketplace of your neighborhood, or ask someone at, the community center or your church, do you know a teenager who would be available for just an hour a week? What can you begin to adjust right now so that you can free up your time to be investing on things that you need to do? And maybe that investment is only in yourself. I remember that moment where I just wanted to sit there in solitude in my car, and that's all that needed to happen so that I could then rejuvenate myself and give my best. Because those are the moments where you are just emotionally exhausted, and putting more things on yourself at that point when you can't think clearly certainly isn't the effect. But go back to your priorities. Why are you doing things? What is the long-term gain and the long-term goal that you have going on that you want to express? In the business world, and just life in general, you have to decide, are you able to play Candyland or Chutes and Ladders? There is nothing more aggravating when you've made it all the way up the ladder and then you're sliding down again. And that's going to happen, and you're going to end up in the mud puddle sometimes. But you want to convert over to the Candyland where you can see that lollipop lane of where you're getting to one step at a time. But we are so accustomed to microwave results, and that is a mentality that is fighting against just get to work over and over again in just our cultural makeup of where we're at right now. You need to get that out of your mindset. You need to get that out of your spouse or significant other's mindset. You need to get it out of your children's mindset. Delayed gratification, as long as you are working to the proper goal, is exactly where you want to be. In 2014, when we declared bankruptcy, for 3 years after, our heads were down. That's 1,095 days where my husband and I said, all right, I need a 9-to-5 job to get a W-2. My husband needs to do X, Y, and Z to maintain the small businesses and the opportunities that we did have. This is what we're doing for the beginning of our turnaround so that we can get to the next step, and we had to focus. So your bazillion-dollar idea right now or next step for your business, you may need to throttle it in one way or another, because, hey, those rockets, ship stories that we continue to see online of, oh, this person did this person did that. That is you, but you're going to have a different trajectory, and your microwave timer is definitely set to a different rate. And that's what we need to be patient in it. So dig in, give something your all. There is a huge difference from focus and being a floater. And that's where you really have to decide, have you followed something through all the way? I don't want to hear from anyone of, oh, Deb, I tried it, it didn't work. Okay, prove it to me that it didn't work. did you spend 150% of your effort? And did you find others to be your cheerleader and to be your voices and be your advocate in what it is? So here we go, my friends, the Deb action. You've been waiting for it. This is what happens in every podcast. This is the charge where you get to know what you need to do next. So here's some scenarios of what this looks like in real life. If you're like, oh, I've got so many ideas, so many things I need to do, so many responsibilities, it's too much. And people are like, yeah, it's too much. No. Okay, if you are cash strapped, personally or in business, you need to itemize yourself right here and now of what are your expenses. Go on Dave Ramsey, listen to him up and down. Just as the start though, don't get hooked because, there's different things that Dave and I could definitely talk about that I disagree. But you need to then center yourself so that you are taken care of and those children and family and others that are there are definitely taken care of. However, what resources or time do you need to get out of being cash strapped? Does that mean you need to take on another job? Does that mean a side hustle needs to be introduced to your house? Does that mean that you're going to be swapping off the house you're living in for something else for a certain amount of time? We were renters for years after bankruptcy because we weren't able to get a house. And that, that was the means to the ends of where we were able to be now. And so those sacrifices aren't bad things. Don't wallow in them and heck, don't complain. Make sure that they're part of your building blocks of what you need to be next. So cash strap, figure out where you are, and then what do you need to do in time and space to make that different next? So then I said time. Are you time strapped? If you right now, again, I'm going to bring up kids because they take a lot of time and effort and they're beautiful and they're so worth it. But you need to decide what do you need to add or remove from your life. If you are addicted to this, if you're a gamer, if you are, roaming around, drugs, alcohol, pornography, anything that is destructive. I go back to the fruits of the spirit, people. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Can you tell? I paid attention. This is something that you need to dwell on, that if you're questioning, should this stay in my life or does this need to be removed from my life? Well, how much are you spending on extremities during the week? What do you need to do? Because time strapped and cash strapped usually go hand in hand. Because the moment you're figuring out how not to be cash strapped, you're able to then invest in yourself and others to bring joy to others, empower others, but then also bring it back to yourself to accomplish more. And with those microwave results, how long it takes to get things done is mind numbing at times. Being patient, oh my gosh, not very good at it. I always want to get to the next step. Right now, I have probably just you and me listening to this podcast, and I can't wait to have 1 million followers. But we'll get there. One investment at a time, one important moment. And then that is the Deb moment, the Deb action. Evaluate your cash situation, evaluate your time situation, and then look at all the ideas and things that you want to accomplish. So here's the investment I have for you. You can always get your money back. You can never get your time back. This applies across the board. Go back to your priorities. What is it in the people of your life that you cannot afford to miss key moments? And those people can't afford not to have you as part of it. Now, I'm not talking about relationships in your life where somebody is guilt tripping you or, oh my gosh, why weren't you there? Or a codependency. I'm talking about those moments where you're earnestly able to be a cheerleader and love someone else in a way that encourages them and brings them up. Because a day passed is never a day missed when your priorities are in order. I am 3,000% sure my husband and I, we could have recovered from bankruptcy a heck of a lot quicker if we, took the kids into daycare. We, decided to get 5 jobs each, and we just didn't do things that we love to do. Instead, we set up a pathway for us to be successful in our faith and family and everything else to get where we needed to be. Everyone has a different story. Everyone has a different pathway. And that's just how it all is and how we're able to support each other. So just get to work. Evaluate your ideas for the next step in your life and business. What will you do today? This hour, this moment, that will be the small steps to a giant impact. And don't let those individuals say, you're just doing too much. No, it's not that you're doing too much. It may be how you're doing things right now, but I have full faith that you're going to be able to step back and create such joy and intensity for all that's ahead. So our joy and intensity got especially intense. 2008, housing crash, right? Catastrophic loss across the board here in the United States. We, at that time, my husband and I, were very, very young. Our children were, oh goodness gracious, were like 3 and 2 at that moment. We had a landscaping business. It's not good to be in a landscaping business when the housing market crashes. And so my husband and I looked at each other at that time. I was home with the kids. I was helping with the landscaping business. We were figuring things out. And what we decided at that moment is, okay, we need income. We need revenue. How can we figure this out so that the landscaping business and what we could do could keep going? And we had our idea for the Gyro Company restaurant. So what did I do? I woke up in the morning, got the kids to preschool, was with them in the afternoon, swapped off usually with my mother-in-law at that time, or my husband, who was able to leave the crew out in the field and hand them off the kids. I then went and was a server at a high-end steakhouse in the area. I did that for a year, day in and day out. Holidays, I can remember crying as I left, Thanksgiving dinner, going into work. And I have such respect for the serving industry because, the living, eating, and breathing, it is tough. But I was doing it with joy, even in the tough moments, because I knew that we were working on a business plan. We were seeking funding for our restaurant. I was able to check off for the SBA. Do I have restaurant experience? Yes, I was living, eating, and breathing in it. And meanwhile, bringing in income for our family at a very tough time of just restricted availability of business for us in the landscaping business. And so, that was a moment definitely of learning to veer away from the microwave results, because while doing that for a year, it almost took 2 more years after that to be able to get a loan and to get into business and to find where our successes were going to be. And then, 2014, catastrophic failure within it. But I would do it again, over again, for the determination, the building of the ability of what my husband and I learned about ourselves, how he got to do bath time every night for a full year. He as dad stepped in with his children and got to know them in a different way that he maybe would have not in a different, scenario. So you can't question, why am I here right now? Why is this happening to me? Take advantage of what's there, because then what we did is we added the corn maze to our repertoire. We got the Gyro Company going. My husband started contracting again for snow removal, and I started to have more ideas. So that was the beginning of how do we do more with what we have in our time and value while keeping our priorities straight. So my friends, thank you so much for being here today, episode 2. Don't worry about the haters. Don't worry about the distractions. Stay focused, stay calm, and amazing things are going to happen. So do you have a topic or question that we can attack together? Subscribe, share, reach out. Again, God bless, and may everything be with you. Just get to work.